WACOSA? What would more money do to help the disability community or the disabled community here in the St. Cloud area? We know that obviously COVID was hard on all of that. So for some of the services that WACOSA provides and how this funding shortage now is negatively impacting the organization and what increased funding, if the legislature would decide to do so, how it would benefit them and therefore us. Nancy Betts from WACOSA joining us now on KNSI's Ox in the Afternoon. Hello, Nancy.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, good to have you on for sure. And it was great talking to Julie last week. Were you at the Capitol or were you part of that? I think it was kind of a virtual thing too. Were you involved in that last week, Nancy?
A little bit. I was involved with helping the folks that we serve, the clients that we serve with disabilities, help tell their stories to our area legislators.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. So Nancy, before we get into it, for those maybe not familiar, I think a lot of people know the name WACOSA. We don't know exactly what it is that you do. Can you give us a quick one sheet on the services that WACOSA provides?
Sure. WACOSA has been here in our community since 1963, providing services to adults with disabilities in the areas of integration into the community, employment services, and helping with their everyday needs. And so that's kind of what we do. We are the support services for those individuals who are looking for help during the day, maybe after they graduate from school, high school. They need extra support looking for employment. We supply that support on the short-term basis, or in the case of long-term, we would do that as well. We also have services in our SOC Center communities, and we also work with Voc Rehab, looking for short-term kinds of support. Somebody might have a newly diagnosed disability and need a little extra support finding a job, and that would be our role as well. So we really do provide a continuum of support services, anywhere from somebody who needs help all day long to just a little bit of help. They're successful, and then we go on our merry way.
Yeah, it's a hand up for sure. It's a great service. So tell me then how WACOSA is impacted, affected by, or otherwise supported by this kind of larger disability state funding thing that now we're all finding out is inadequately funded.
Sure. Our services are reimbursed for the services we give through a waiver program. The waiver rate setting methodology for the services we provide is legislatively dictated in terms of how much money we get for providing the services. So the Senate File 2771 and House File 3110 are the bills that look at some long-term adjustments to that funding methodology. The methodology now is based on data from that is years old, and as you know, with the crisis of hiring across all many different sectors in our communities, the pace of wages far exceeds the rate of increases that our services have been getting. And so the only way to fix that is to tell our story to the legislators and have them hopefully understand the need for legislative action to correct what has become a long-term crisis situation in our state and in our community.
And again, so what's happening is that a lot of these disabled folks are not able to get not only the services they need, but also the services they need to help provide employers and organizations with the services they need by being able to administer their employment. Is that fair?
That is fair. That is correct. Because WACOSA was not fully staffed before COVID, and after COVID, it's been even worse, right? So we were at a high point. We had about 175 individuals supporting over 700 individuals with disabilities in our community. After COVID, we're at about 119 individuals, serving about 400 right now. So that means we have about 200 people in our community still waiting to come back 2 years after COVID. And the main issue now is staffing. Prior to COVID, we had a waiting list of approximately 60 individuals that are eligible for the services, need the services, but had never received them, the support services from WACOSA and organizations like WACOSA in our community. And that waiting list has grown to over 75 just for our agency alone. And those are folks that could be working and contributing in, helping the labor market for other organizations as well. But without the support needed, they're left without any avenue for helping to produce the jobs that they're looking for, produce the volunteer opportunities that they're looking for, and so forth.
So, Nancy, what would it take then? What would it look like if you do get these funding requests, if you get this formula straightened out and the money starts coming in better? What would that translate to? What would the programs look like moving forward for WACOSA?
Moving forward, if those bills do get passed and we do have a structure that can support staff, we do look at a funding stream that can fund a career path for people in the support services field. Prior to COVID, there was that need as well, and COVID really amplified the need. You have people sitting at home, the people that are experiencing mental health. Some of the folks that we previously have served and or in our communities have become homeless. So basically, the staffing provided now is a good investment in our community in terms of keeping people healthy, keeping people productive, keeping people out of the criminal justice system perhaps, or homelessness, those types of things. That will strengthen the pipeline of this as a career path. And that's really what the long-term hope is. Short-term, we really need to stabilize what's going on in our community in terms of group homes not being able to closing and people not having places to go. So hopefully that helps give you a short-term and a long-term vision for why the support is needed. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And I mean, there are multiple organizations similar to WACOSA, right, that rely on this funding, like all over the state.
Correct, all over the state and in our communities as well. Mm-hmm.
So then, is there a dollar amount? Is there a personnel amount? Do we have any specific numbers on this? What we're asking for?
The way the system works is each person with the disability is assessed for what do they need. And then the person, it's quite complicated, but basically it's based upon the person and their needs to be successful. And each person comes with a different funding source mechanism for them, if that makes sense.
Well, kind of, and that explains why there's an extensive administration cost to try to figure all that out per person, huh?
Potentially, yes, absolutely, there is. And the whole goal is to be able to provide a system of safety and support for people that need it, and be very sensitive to the taxpayer dollars that are supporting them. The support comes from both the state and federal level. These are waivered services that the people who are receiving them are qualified for under all of their support needs. And so that's the dollar amount is individualized. And I couldn't tell you the total amount. Sorry.
No.
I don't have.
Yeah. Well, and that's hard to make the ask then, isn't it, with the legislature? So it's more of a formula thing that Moore and you guys are looking for?
Correct. It is a formula. Correct. It is a formula. Right now, the formula does not pay the actual cost of providing the support.
Got it. And so, Nancy, what are the other funding mechanisms? So often there are multiple ways of funding something, and the easy route is to go to the government. But as I understand, the way this program works, just to be part of the program means that by definition, you are dependent on the government for this. Are there other avenues to get funding?
The individuals that are eligible for the programs, they qualify. We're a nonprofit, and so we subsidize through donations and grants and so forth, and partnerships with communities. We do as much as we can to fund the unfunded portions of the services. so one of the examples I like to give is we are reimbursed a small amount for providing transportation to those that don't have their own. And WACOSA has used those donations and those dollars to supplement the actual cost of providing transportation. We have subsidized on some years, and this was pre-COVID, over $250,000 a year, because that's the amount that it costs to get people to and from a job site, to and from a volunteer site, to and from our service sites. And the reimbursement rate in the disability rate setting system that we're asking to be looked at and adjusted does not cover the true cost of that one service. And if you take that one service and multiply it by the other services of maybe support, personal needs support, or job coaching, or job searching, or job exploration, you will find very often that the services provided through the disability rate setting do not cover the actual cost.
Yep. A frequent lament these days, isn't it, Nancy?
Correct. Correct.
What it takes to get it done is just not adequately funded. And this is a request then to the legislature. This is kind of more than usual due to COVID, because things are worse now than maybe they have been in the past?
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay. And then so you're working on a bill now. Do you have a champion? Are there authors of these bills that you're working with? And what's the likelihood of these things coming to fruition look to you?
I don't have current information on that. I would have to defer that to
Julie and Moore, probably.
Julie.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. But are they telling you it's hopeful? I mean, there is a surplus after all.
There is a surplus, but I do not have current. I apologize. I don't have current information on that.
Okay. Are you funded by? I know. Okay, and this is a little cocktailed information here on KNSI's Ox in the afternoon. People see WACOSA, all capital letters, WACOSA. Wake Park Cold Spring Sauk Center is actually the acronym there. Correct?
You get it. Yes.
Right.
You win the prize. Absolutely. That's where we had service centers years ago when WACOSA was incorporated.
Sure, but you cover the whole area, right? So it's not just those three cities.
We serve people in Cold Spring, but we no longer have a physical facility there.
Okay, so when I ask that, though, the reason I say that is you're not under any municipal umbrella, right? I mean, the cities don't pay you.
Correct.
Does the county fund you?
The county does fund through the waiver programs, yes.
Yeah, so they're the administrator, they're the pass-through for the money, right? But that money comes from the state.
Correct.
All right, so that's where it's coming from. Well, Nancy, thanks. Thanks for sharing this. It's been an enlightening week or so here, learning about all this funding, and we'll see where these bills go. I mean, right? We got a couple more months yet in the legislative session.
And we do appreciate everybody's support, and anybody that needs more information, feel free to reach out. There's a lot of us that will help people understand a very complex but crisis situation.
Well,
thank you.
We've known you and respected WACOSA as a great organization providing great service to the community all these years, Nancy. So thanks for sharing. We'll see where it goes.
Thank you very much.
Nancy Betts from WACOSA, kind of following up on a conversation we had with Julie Johnson from MORE, the Minnesota Organization for Habilitation and Rehabilitation, last week about these getting more funding to administer this disability service. Interesting. We'll see where it goes.